We are now being live streamed.
Okay.
Yeah, Basil, is there something that looks like that? I think I read this one.
Yeah. Okay, we have 6:30, work session to begin. We have a guest speaker. We have our assessor, Rebecca Baker, who wants to speak to us about the new tax exemption laws. The floor is yours, Becky.
Okay, thank you. I sent you this email previously, right, that sort of listed all the things, so I just printed it again so we can refer to that. I think there's 5 issues that really need to be addressed. I guess I should start by saying that New York State dictates a lot of what these exemptions are, the limits, the requirements, and, you know, all those kinds of things. And they've made some recent changes that require each of the taxing jurisdictions. So that means the town, the county, each of the villages individually, and each of the school districts individually to make some decisions, basically. Do you want to or not want to grant these exemptions? If you do want to grant them, do you want to, you know, what are the income limits you want to set? There's varying levels. So what I'd like to do tonight is just kind of sort of quickly, you know, we don't need to make any decisions or anything, we have some time, but I think I need to get you to start thinking about how you want this to be, what kind of exemptions do you want. Basically, there's 2 reasons to give an exemption. It's how much do you want to help somebody, and how much do you want to reward somebody. The help is more the exemptions, excuse me, like the disability low-income exemptions, the senior low-income exemptions. These are for people that could use some help, you know, with their taxes. And then there's those like the veterans exemption, which although it helps people, it's meant to reward them for their service. So there's veterans, there's firemen, there's clergy, those kind of categories. So the first one, well, let's not start with the first one because that's not really an exemption, that's something completely different. The second one is it allows the municipalities, so again, that's the county, the town, the schools, the option to provide first-time home buyers an exemption. Currently, we don't offer this. This was available, and it has expired, so this means everybody should start thinking again, do you or do you not want to offer that? It expires in 2022, so 2023 assessment roll is what we're working on, and that's as simple as it is. Do you or do you not want to offer first-time home buyers an exemption? So that's number 2 needs to be discussed. Number 3 is the disability. You've already increased the senior exemption limit from $35,400 to $37,400. You guys approved that months ago. If you look at that spreadsheet, I got a frog in my throat, sorry. If you look at that spreadsheet I made, it kind of shows where all of these taxing jurisdictions lie. Yeah. So the county, what their limits are, the town, what their limits are, what our limits are, the villages, and the schools. The town is, at this moment, if you look at that spreadsheet, fairly generous as compared to the others. But again, these limits were set years ago, and as we all know, you know, a 35,000 doesn't go as far as it used to. So, I mean, the one school district has a $17,000 income limit. So again, that's just more or less, do we want to provide more people, you know, with an exemption? Now, keep in mind, every time you approve one exemption, that means somebody else has got to make up the difference, because the town, the school, you know, everybody gets what they need. So it's just, we're talking about divvying up who gets, who pays what. So you would have to basically say, yes, we want to increase that, and if so, what limit do we want to set? The county just increased theirs again to $37,400. And this is all written down. Or if you have any questions, as you are discussing this, you can just ask me. Number 4 is for the veterans exemption. Currently, the way that one works is if you are a war vet, you served during wartime, you get a 15% up to $18,000. If you also had combat, that's an additional 10% with an additional $12,000, so together up to $30,000. And if you're a disabled vet, you get half of your disability rating up to $60,000. So it's 18, 30, 60. The county just increased theirs to 30, additional 20, so that's 50, 30, 50, and 100. So the question is, does the town want to follow suit, which we have done in the past, or do you want to just leave it where it's at? That requires no action, so. The first one that I skipped over is a little bit different. This is the condo status law. The state passed a law which no longer allows homes like the ones on Blackstone, those individual freestanding homes, to receive condo status. What's currently there is grandfathered and forever will be, but any new condominiums like that would not receive the discount. However, they're also offering to each municipality taxing jurisdiction, again, the opportunity to say, we don't want any condo status. So even the ones that are like the patio homes, the townhouses, those that currently have condo status, you can choose to say, we don't want to offer that. That requires action, resolution, local law, further, and we can talk about that. But right now, I'm just bringing all of these things to your attention. They need to be thought about, discussed. If you have questions, you can ask me.
The condo status, that would just be for new condos going forward?
Yes, anything that has currently received that is going to be forevermore, at least for now, grandfathered. I mean, that kind of makes sense. You buy a house knowing that your taxes are going to be, reduced, and now all of a sudden they're twice what you thought they were going to be. So, but I mean, that's it in a, in a nutshell. I don't know. Does anybody have any? Do you guys have questions? Do you want some other information? It'd be great if I could, or if we could, settle all of this by March 1st. That's taxable status day. That makes it easier for us. I have to make changes in our software, and and we can reach out to those who we have up till now denied, if you increase the limit, to let them know that they will be getting something. Questions? I mean,
It looks like we have some work to do.
yeah, and I mean, none of it has to be done now. It's just been like some of these, like the senior exemption, it's been a long time since changes were made, and same with the disability. So the veterans exemption just now became eligible, like the town became, the state offered the increased limits. Up until this point, you wouldn't have been able to offer more. So, and then also, to go along with that, the equalization rate plays a big part in what somebody gets on their exemption. So like the basic star exemption is a $30,000 discount, if you will. You don't pay taxes on $30,000. But this year our equalization rate was 87%, so our assessments are falling behind. That means the $30,000, you only get 87% of that. So as the equalization rate keeps dropping, so does your benefit to your, exemption benefit. That's probably another topic of conversation we should be having sooner than later. I just received from the state that they believe there's going to be a 15% drop in our EQ rate for next year. And that's just based on what houses are selling for.
The price of housing has not gone down? Really?
We have, no, it hasn't gone down, but we have less homes are selling. But what we do sell, I mean, I've got houses that in 2020 when we did the reval that we assessed at 350, 400 that everybody thought was, they're selling for almost $800,000. So they're way behind. And I mean, that's just market, so that makes your equalization rate drop.
I know I received a number of calls on this, and with you coming tonight. Anybody in the audience have any questions for the assessor regarding this?
I have a question.
Sure.
I talked to you earlier about the assessment on Hall Road, and I'm just politely asking you to explain to me how a person in Lancaster could buy a home in 2013 for $260,000, have the reassessment done like all of us here did, including the board members, and everyone's assessment went up. The person on Hall Road, their assessment went up 0. And they sold that home in 2021 for $405,000. Now, I heard Supervisor Rufino talk to us at the beginning of the assessment process that it's time for us to all pay our fair share. So I listened to you just now talk about, breaks for first-time home buyers. I'm sure the person that lived on Home Road wasn't a first-time home buyer because he owned a home over in Butte. He's not a disabled veteran, or a disabled exemption, and he doesn't have any veteran experience or exemption. Could you just tell me why his assessment didn't go up 1 penny in that time frame?
All of the 2020 revale, we used sales from 18 and 19 to set the market. So based on the inventory we had of his house at that time, and other homes similar to his home that sold in 18 and 19, that was the assessment that equated to that assessment. That's what homes like his were selling for. You got to remember, in the assessment world, we are always behind. From the day I do a revale, your assessments are really already outdated. It takes a whole year for that process to happen. And when you have a market like this, I can't keep up. It's impossible. So if I do an assessment, brand new, out of the box with a revale, and that person goes to get an appraisal 2 days later, they probably won't match, because my assessments have to be based on 1 to 2 years previous. An appraisal by law can be no more than 6 months. You can't use sales that are no more than 6 months old. So that is a much more current. We do ours in mass, which means I don't go in each home, right? I have this information on the computer. Hopefully it's correct. Hopefully people haven't lied, because really, the values are only as good as how honest people are. So if you've got an extra bathroom and we don't have that, right? I mean, there's no way to tell. I don't know what's in the backyard. People build, you talk to Matt, people build sheds and put all kinds of stuff on, and you don't know, right?
Getting off track.
No, I'm telling you, this is justifying why that house had my assessment and sold for $400,000.
405. So in the time frame between 2013 and 2020, when the reassessments were done, that house didn't go up $1 in value in your eyes.
There are ones that went down.
But this one didn't. This one stayed exactly the same, and then it sold for 405. So somebody's math was off. And your job is appointed by the supervisor, am I correct?
By the town board, yes.
By the town board, right. And it's not odd at all that the person that lived on Hall Road was the Democrat committee chairman, and you don't think he got a break or anything like that?
Well, this supervisor didn't appoint me. I was appointed by Mr. Dino, right, 5-6 years ago. I'm not a Democrat. I mean, that's up to you.
I didn't say he
I'm not
was.
sure where you're going with this.
I'm just wondering how a Lancaster resident from 2013, 2020, your assessment didn't go up $1.
Yeah, that's possible.
Okay, you made your point, she gave you an answer.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
I'm not sure how you want me to answer
is-
that
this
any
is-
further.
This is getting too personal.
We're all going to pay our fair share.
I'm really looking for any veterans out there that, I know I got a bunch of calls from veterans. Is there anybody out there that wants to ask at all about this? Okay. Thank you for your time, Betsy.
Okay, thank you. If you have any questions about any of this, please, you can, give our office, and I can be happy to answer them.
Okay. Official, anybody want to speak on the work session? Matt, you want anything?
I just comment on the stormwater report for the month of October, already into November. We did have a little bit of a setback with the tax auction. The land bank chose not to acquire the 3 stormwater facilities to turn over ownership to the town. So in speaking with the land bank, I'll just check and see if our legislator was here. The land bank urged me to write the legislator the letter that was attached to the report. Immediately was responded to, and the county legislator may act through a legislative act to obtain these properties to turn over to the town so that we can lawfully maintain them for their operation. I'm not sure what the snafu was about with that land auction, but hopefully in the near future we'll be able to get ownership and get these 3 facilities on track. And as you heard earlier before the work session, the ongoing drainage issues in backyards, and the only comment that I can make to this board and the public is that, these systems are public systems. They're meant for the good of everybody surrounding those systems. Each one of our responsibilities as property owners is to maintain those systems per their original design as best that we can in order for them to function properly. I'd be happy to discuss it with any individual homeowner and with this board on how to do that, but I think we all have a similar task at hand, whether we're in a rural area or in a very dense subdivision. We all have a part to play with maintaining our stormwater systems. That's it. Thanks.
Okay. Ed?
Just a few things. Streetlights, just the system's still working. I got a copy of an email from one of the broadband contractors reaching out to PC&G, letting him know that they're going to need their services for taking lights down and putting them back up. So I did forward that on to Carmen, so he was aware of it. But that was what we set up, that the broadband guys would contact PC&G directly, and that seems to be they seem to be doing that, so that's...
Yeah, Carmen is here. Carmen, you got hooked up on their computer system, correct?
Yeah, Friday.
Okay. So, yeah, we're aware now, the town is aware of what's going on, and they're able to make determinations as to what's going on with the streetlights.
Yeah, speaking of that, it seems like I'm the account person using the Chromebook. Anybody want to give those up to Carmen? I think you could put that system on a Chromebook.
I can.
You can? Okay, so Carmen, put that on. Much easier for you to go with one of these, I think, as you're... Perfect. You're welcome.
Historical building, we've got the third-party architect has the plan, or has the documents, he's reviewing them, and once he gets through them and gets his hands around it, he'll get in touch with me and Tom. The Partridge Walk Park area down there, wetland delineation was done. It's been submitted to the Corps for determination. There's 2 small areas of wetland, and the Corps will determine whether or not they're jurisdictional or not. If they're not jurisdictional, then they really don't mean anything. If they're jurisdictional, we just have to work around them without disturbing them. And the survey is ongoing right now for property and topo. Can you repeat that? Sorry. The Partridge Walk, the area down there looking at for potential parkland. Wetland delineation was done, and it's been submitted to the Corps of Engineers for their review and what's called, they make determination if it's jurisdictional, if it falls under their jurisdiction, or it's not of a value to them that they're not going to care about it. And I will tell you, the Corps is probably 6 months behind, so it'll be probably a little bit before we get a response from them, but it's in their hands. Youth Bureau, I was asked to get involved with some door work and been in discussions with a door contractor and security system contractor, so we hopefully will have that pricing wrapped up here in another few days. And Simi Road culvert, hopefully we'll have that on the next board meeting for award. The police flooring is on, I'm pretty sure it's on tonight's for award. And the Erie Street water project will start. We have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow. contractor may very well be out there this week to start work. We'll have a notice going out to the residents, so they know what's going on. And that's it.
Clerk's office, anything? No? Attorney's office? Assessor? No. Highway?
Lots of leaves.
I'm seeing your trucks out today.
Oh, yeah, the guys are working hard. We left them on for some overtime last week and this week, just to try to stay with it. So, yeah, the guys are working hard. Finishing up our last drainage project of the year, leaves, putting snow plows on, get ready for the winter.
Michelle Parks, anything going on?
We just are still looking for volleyball teams. Anybody who can gather a team, the numbers are a little low, trying to get more after COVID. Basketball has started. Other than that, the pool, that started too, numbers are good there. Basketball numbers are very good. That's about it.
Chief, please, anything? Okay. We'll go on to our resolutions. I have the first two, the normal minutes and the approved audited claims. Councilmember Mazur, number 3.
Number 3 is the acceptance of the biweekly building permits.
And 4, 5, and 6, Councilmember Leary.
There are changes to the tentative budget. The first one is dealing with, we need more money for printing and mailing. The second one involves dog control officers. And the third one is to add an additional police captain to the budget.
Okay, I have 7 and 8, which are the special districts budget, and then the approving the ad valorem budget. Councilmember Burkhart, you have number 9.
Anonymous donation for the Lancaster Police Department.
Okay, I have number 10, which is appointing a police officer. Councilmember Mazur, number 11.
Number 11 is to award a bid for a vehicle for the building department.
And 12 goes to Councilmember Burkhart.
Accept a donation from Delta Sonic Car Wash for the Lancaster Police Department.
Okay, back over to Councilmember Mazur for 13.
Yeah, it's to set a public hearing for home occupancy for a
Okay. 14
home
goes,
occupancy.
yes, 14 goes to Councilmember Burkhart.
Award bid flooring for the public safety building, the police building.
15 is myself to appoint some Parks Recreation folks, and 16 is to appoint a highway laborer. And Councilmember Mazur, 17, 18.
17 is to set a public hearing for a proposed local law on model home permits. And 18 is to set a public hearing on some site plan review information.
Okay, 19 is to authorize and memorialize the LVAC contract. And then it moves on to Councilmember Burkhart for 20 through 24.
20, authorized agreement, Tactical Diversion Squad Task Force and Case-Specific Tactical Diversion Task Force Agreement. 21, approved lease services agreement, Flock Safety Falcon Flex ALR camera. 22, authorized purchase of OK Signals Smart VMS Model 2 radar speed enforcement trailer. 23, approve agreement and memorandum of understanding law enforcement agencies for the gun range. And 24, accept and authorize supervised to execute proposal to remove, replace ATS controller on senior center generator.
Okay, 25 is the youth agreement. 26 is Councilmember Mazur, and
Yeah.
27.
It's to authorize a special use permit for co-location of a Verizon wireless site. 27 is to adopt a negative declaration on 5827 Broadway.
And Councilmember Dickman, number 28.
This is just a special permit renewal for a home occupation of vehicle repair shop on Schwartz Road.
29 goes to Mazur.
Is to approve a site plan for 4401 Walden Avenue.
Okay, take a 2 minutes break. We start at 7 o'clock.
The live stream continues, so anything you say is being recorded and streamed.
Okay.
Okay, is he here?
but I,
So the assessor,
We'll catch up again. Don't worry about it. We're sitting there, I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna eat my lunch. I'll shoot him a quick text real quick. Don't worry about it. All right.
it's just an informal discussion.
what we'll have to do, sir, is go to committee, the assessors committee. There's 3 board members that sit on the assessors committee. We'll discuss it, and then what we'll do is we'll end up we'll talk to the full board about it, and then we'll render a decision. I'm not sure. We could have done that last year.
And now with what I talked to him about that, I know he's working on it.
And what I would suggest you do is send a letter to the town board, kind of explaining what you just told us.
As long as we're still working.
As best in detail as you can. And then send it to the assessment committee.
I was asking because I knew I got a couple calls. And I was asking if you wanted to ask, you weren't here. It's a work session at 6:30.
You know what, sir, I'll give you the names of the people on the assessment committee. It's Councilman Leary is the chairman of that assessment committee. Leary. Yep. And Adam Dickman.
I looked at it,
And myself, Councilman Dave Mazer. Yeah, send it to that's the assessment committee. You send a letter explaining what you just talked about. We'll take a look at it because we're going to have to discuss it anyways. And we're going to discuss Rebecca's email. Yeah, that's why she said she wants to get it done by March 30th, taxable status date.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Yep. I know, I've talked about a lot, I've talked about some other things too, so. People are laughing at us about a lot of things. I understand.
Last weekend or this weekend? Both are in. If they're fine. Nothing special. Yes.
Nobody wants to sit in the front row, huh? Nobody wants to sit in the front row.
I think they're saving that for
James Wilkes Booth, he sat in front. James Wilkes Booth, the guy that shot the president, he sat in front, right? Oh, yeah.
I hope I get all the lots of Sure.
Powerball?
No, oh, I know. Leave that away. You're so basically your time.
Okay. Okay.
I said, just set it for the committee. It's me, you, and Adam, and we'll take a look at this one.
Yeah, Rebecca,
do it.
if we could sit down,
Yeah.
get more interaction. So we'll sit down and
I forgot to check them.
I don't bring them in and actually get some answers and stuff, because I don't have a problem.
I'm gonna look down.
I can't believe Brett Huzzle is a project.
That way, somebody the kids are like a harder. Basically have it.
You've taken the lead.
Call the meeting to order. Dan, would you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Here.
Councilmember Dickman.
Here.
Councilmember Leary.
Here.
Councilmember Mazer.
Here.
Supervisor Rufino.
Here. And the pledge and invocation will be done by Councilmember Burkhart.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
We pray for wisdom, for strength, for courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. May we put the interests of others above our own. May we act with love for the common good. May we be good neighbors, recognizing your image in every person here.
Thanks. Okay, tonight's meeting, we have 29 pre-filed resolutions, no suspended resolutions, 3 public hearings, 2 executive sessions. We'll be closing in memory of 5 people: Joseph J. Biagiotti, Shirley Renault, Robert Gaziat Sr., Lois Snyder, and Mary Dush. At this time, anybody like to speak on any of the 29 resolutions? We have about 5 minutes first. Anybody like to speak on the resolutions? Going twice. Okay. We're going to go to official reports. Matt, any official reports?
Nothing more than what was spoken during the work session, thank you.
Okay. Ed?
Same.
Anything? Okay.
Planning Committee?
So we can go, yep.
The Planning Committee is going to hold a meeting on the RV storage ordinance on November 16th at 6 PM before the Planning Board meeting. We'll start to take a look at some of the other ordinances around different communities, set up a committee to start working on that.
Okay. Any other committees?
We had a drainage committee, probably the last hearing of the year, unless something comes up before this meeting. Nothing new came out of it at this point.
Anything else? Okay, I just have a couple announcements for the, some fundraisers. Halfway to Dingus Day Party, Saturday, November 19th, 4 to 7. And it is going to be at the Lieutenant Colonel Matt Urban VFW Post, 7275. $15 donation per person, no takeouts. They also have their Veterans Day steak dinner, which will be actually coming this Saturday, Sunday, November 6th. Oh, this is gone already. That's passed, so we're in time for that. Okay, I think I got a couple more minutes here, so I'll just do the first resolution. We'll move on to resolutions. I'll do the first one. Resolution number 1, resolve the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board held October 17, 2022, being hereby approved. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 2, and this is out the following audit claims being hereby ordered paid from the respective accounts as per abstract to be filed in the office of the town clerk by the assistant to the supervisor. It's check run number 11072022. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid, $806,741.91. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, number 3, please.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Be it resolved that the following building permit applications be and hereby reaffirmed. There was a total of 77, 55 in the town, 22 in the village. As the list is attached. And now be it resolved that the building permit applications herein coded CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver be and hereby reaffirmed with the waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition the town of Lancaster at any future date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property owner.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes, we're going to break for our 3 public hearings. Have a motion to open the first public hearing, which is the rezone of 5827 Broadway Street.
Motion to open?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Legal notice hereby given that pursuant to the town law of the state of New York and pursuant to a resolution of the town board of the town adopted on October 17, 2022, the said town board will hold a public hearing on the 7th day of November, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. local time here at 21 Central Avenue to hear all interested persons upon the following proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance and zoning map of the town of Lancaster, rezoning the following described real property from a light commercial to a multifamily residential mixed use for the property located at 5827 Broadway Street within the town of Lancaster, New York. All persons interested are invited to attend and will be heard. Does anybody like to speak on this public hearing number 1? I'll ask for a second time and a third. Have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close?
Second.
Do we have a second? On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
May I have a motion to open public hearing number 2, which is a special use permit at 4401 Walden Avenue.
Motion to open.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I'll read the legal notice. Legal notice hereby given that pursuant to the authority set forth in Chapter 400, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 78, Special Use Permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and the Town Law of the State of New York, and pursuant to a resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster adopted on the 17th day of October, 2022, the Town Board will hold a public hearing on the 7th day of November, 2022, at 7:05 p.m. local time here at 21 Central Avenue, to hear all interested persons upon the application of Waldemir Blazik on behalf of Empire Custom Kitchen Cabinets for special use permit to operate a custom cabinet and countertop manufacturing, storage, and retail sales facility on premises located known as 4401 Walden Avenue, Lancaster, New York, County of Erie, State of New York. Anybody like to speak on public hearing number 2? Is the petitioner here at all?
His attorney, Justin White, yes.
Anything you'd like to say, sir?
No, other than I think...
Please state your name and address so we can record that.
Yes, Justin White on behalf of Mr. Blazak and Empire. You know, this storage and display of the marble slabs, it will be in keeping with other displays in other towns where granite and marble are marketed, including the town of Lockport, for example, up on Transit Road, if you're familiar with the Italian granite and marble facility. It's not uncommon for these granite and marble businesses to put their wares out where public can see them. They're attractive, they don't pose a hazard to pedestrians or traffic. It's quite in keeping with the nature of the business that's being conducted there, and it won't be in any way unattractive.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this public hearing? For a second time and a third time? Have a motion to close public hearing number 2.
Motion to close?
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to open public hearing number 3, and this has to do with a special use permit at 5841 Genesee Street, CBDG Farm.
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second?
On the roll?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
The legal notice is hereby given that pursuant to the authority set forth in Chapter 400, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 78, Special Use Permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster and the Town Law of the State of New York, and pursuant to a resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster adopted on the 17th day of October 2022, the Town Board will hold a public hearing on the 7th day of November 2022 at 7:05 p.m. local time to hear all interested party upon the application of Fred Donato on behalf of Donato Homes for a special use permit to operate a 13-unit storage building with office and 4 warehouse shop office buildings on premises locally known as 5841 Genesee Street, Lancaster, New York, County of Erie, State of New York. Anybody like to speak? Is a petitioner here for this one? Anybody like to ask any questions on this? Ask for a second time and a third time? Okay, have a motion to close public hearing number 3?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go on to resolution number 4, and actually, Councilman Leary, you have the next.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move the following resolution for adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster has reviewed the 2023 tentative budget, which was presented on October 17, 2022, and whereas pursuant to New York State Town Law and Section 106, after review of the presented tentative budget by the town board, any changes should be memorialized in writing via resolution and approved by a majority of the members of said town board. And whereas Councilman Leary has reviewed the proposed 2023 tentative budget submitted by Supervisor Ruffino and is requesting the following changes. On page 10, A1670, Central Printing and Mailing, line item 403, Printing and Advertising, change the amount to $21,650. Now therefore be it resolved that the aforementioned modification to the 2023 tentative budget be permitted following its adoption.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Ruffino?
Yes.
Resolution number 5, whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster has reviewed the 2023 tentative budget, which was presented on October 17, 2022, and whereas pursuant to New York State Town Law, Section 106, after review of the presented tentative budget by the town board, any changes should be memorialized in writing via resolution and approved by a majority vote of the members of the said town board. And whereas Councilman Leary has reviewed the proposed 2023 tentative budget submitted by Supervisor Ruffino and is requesting the following changes. On page 11, A3510, Control of Dogs. Line item 100, Dog Control Officer change to the amount of $114,061. On line item 103, Assistant Dog Control Officers, change amount to $10,399. And on page 11, A3510, Control of Dogs, line item 103, Assistant Dog Control Officers, change amount to $20,399. Now therefore be it resolved that the aforementioned modifications to the 2023 tentative budget be permitted following their adoption. And if I could just say, basically what we're doing is moving money around in the budget for dog control to add a third full-time dog control officer, actually a second assistant dog control officer. And basically we're moving money from the assistant dog control officer section to the full-time dog control officer section, and we're also requesting to add $10,000 back into the assistant dog control officer. That's how we came up with the changes.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. I have some questions. Now, first of all, overall, I submitted a very conservative budget. I left us about $166,000 under the tax cap for some leeway. These changes that they're making are going to run us up to $7,000. We're going to have $7,000 to play with. Now, I'm not the person that gets the conservative endorsement here, but I think I'm about the only conservative person here. Okay? I'm going to give you some information, and I've given this to the town board before, but as far as investing into our dog control with 3 full-time employees is ridiculous. Okay? Lancaster, our 2023 budget for personnel is going to be $135,460. Cheektowaga, $117,308. Mind you, Cheektowaga has twice as many residents as us. Okay? Tonawanda, $109,105. They have 72,636 residents. We have 45,106. As I said, Cheektowaga has 89,877. Amherst, budget for personnel, $87,576. They have 129,595 people. Orchard Park, budget, $97,459. They have 29,686. West Seneca, 80,800. 45,500 people. Hamburg, $63,004. 60,085 people. Grand Island, 31,021,389. Now, the ironic thing here is not one other township has more than one full-time person, okay? We're going to have 3 full-time people and part-time people in this department. Cheektowaga has 1 full-time, 1 part-time. Tonawanda, 1 full-time, and the police help out. Amherst, 1 and 1. Orchard Park, 1 full, and these are, a lot of these places aren't just dog control, they're animal control. 1 full-time for Orchard Park, 1 part-time. West Seneca, they staff it with their highway department. Hamburg, 1 full-time animal control officer. Grand Island has no full-time, 3 part-time. We're going to have to pay benefits, holidays, vacations, and everything else, and health, to 3 full-time dog control officers. And I don't see us in lining up with anybody else. We have other departments that have many greater needs than this. Something's not going on right there. When you have to add, we just added a 2nd person in January, which I was against. Now we're adding a 3rd. When is it going to stop? That's all the comments I have on this.
If I could respond, Mr. Supervisor?
Sure, may.
Okay, first off, your budget wasn't a bad budget. Okay, we made some changes in here since you talked about the total budget changes that we're recommending. One of them is to put in another captain into the police department, which is long overdue. Okay, so that's a significant part of it. But when you come right back to dog control, first off, do you not want to fund the police department? Is that what you're saying?
I have questions on that resolution too that I'll get to.
All right.
Get there.
You did it as a group. Okay. On dog control specifically, Mr. Supervisor, have you ever gone out with dog control and see what they do?
I've been out there in the past, but
Again, were you out there on the search warrant the other day when they recovered a dog that had been taken and kept in a house?
It's not my job.
Against the owner's will? Mr. Supervisor, there were very dangerous dogs at this location. It's a very dangerous dog, and it's part of the safety community as to what these people do. We want 3 professionally trained individuals out there not putting their lives at risk when they go out. They go out with the police department on some occasions. They have the responsibility of keeping those dogs safe. We have a facility where those dogs are kept at this point, which we didn't have before, that we have to man accordingly. That is why we're doing what we're doing. Overall, yes, we're adding benefits for one of the people, but we're only adding $10,000 in actually salary to get 1 or 2 assistants to work the weekends. The weekdays will be covered by these people, and weekends where necessary. The police department continues to work dog control calls during the nighttime, and they call out the dog control officers as needed. So basically, we're better utilizing the existing budget to add that 2nd full-time assistant dog control officer.
Councilmember, you're not explaining how we are so far ahead in cost for this department versus other townships that are much larger than ours. I'm sure they face the same problems with dangerous dogs as well.
I think I did explain it to you, Mr. Supervisor. We want our people to be professionally trained. We had an assistant dog control officer get bit, seriously injured. We don't want that to happen. We want to make sure we have enough people available to go out and cover all the existing time that has to be covered. And 3 people in there, we feel, would be a better way to do that.
Well, I can't agree.
From morning until night, in addition to the extra people will be next year, we're going to put together for a census. They will be able to go out, knock on doors in person to recoup funds for dog control. All that money goes back, per the state, into dog control that will offset some of the cost of that 3rd person. There's going to be overlapping. You have morning shift, mid-shift, and a later shift until 11 o'clock. And right now, what do we have, 8? How many dogs do we have out there?
I believe there was 10 at one point, but I think it's down to 8. I was out there the other day, and trust me, some of those dogs, very, very dangerous. You got to be careful with them. Yeah, it was quite the sight. So it's a full house right now.
Yeah.
And the dogs have to be taken care of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The numbers don't match here. We're way over budgeted for this. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
No.
Resolution number 6, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has reviewed the 2023 tentative budget, which was presented on October 17, 2022, and whereas pursuant to the New York State Town Law, Section 106, after review of the presented tentative budget by the Town Board, any changes should be memorialized in writing via resolution and approved by a majority vote of the members of the said Town Board. And whereas Councilmember Leary has reviewed the proposed 2023 tentative budget submitted by Supervisor Rufino and is requesting the following changes. Page 26, A3120, Police, line item 100, Captains 2, change number of captains to 3. Now therefore be it resolved that the aforementioned modifications to the 2023 tentative budget be permitted following its adoption.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. Okay, so I have questions on this one. Did you do any research on the merger that was done back when I was here?
The merger with the village?
Yes.
I'm aware of it, sir.
Okay, so I know Chief Karn said that we added 27 people, but in reality, we had a merger that was done, and the state came in and assisted us with the merger, with the funds that were from state funds, and they gave us basically a program on how we should be operating, with 1 chief, 2 captains, and so on and so forth. So in 2003, prior to the merger, we had 40 officers, or 40 total employees in the police department. That includes dispatch. In 2004, after the merger, we had 56. We've been operating in that range right through now. 2022, we have 62. So we're 6 more than what we were after the merger. The reason why I bring this up is that I don't think this is the proper time to add another captain. Because has anybody looked at the overtime of the police department? And chiefs had told us that he can't get people to work overtime, they got to force people. Right now, we're at $546,000 in overtime alone. We're scheduled to be, if we go throughout the year, close to $700,000 in overtime. I think the money would be more well spent on another patrol person to help basically eliminate or help the assistance of the other patrol officers so they're not getting forced to work. And we are taking some relief, giving them some relief in this situation, and I think it will help our budget.
Mr. Supervisor, I listened to Chief Karn. I believe what Chief Karn says, and the need for a 3rd captain is necessary. Is attempting to get additional patrol officers. We did attempt to get additional patrol officers through the grant program federally. Unfortunately, we did not get those officers, and if you look at the criteria for getting officers under that program, unfortunately, it leaned the same way that the current Democratic administration leans. There were questions in there about certain groups. You got to have training, for different things in there, which really wasn't necessary to be a good police officer. Therefore, we didn't meet that criteria, and we got turned down. I'll take the chief at his word and go from there, and we're not cutting any police officers.
Are we getting a grant for this additional captain?
Are we getting a grant for this additional captain? Not to my knowledge.
Okay,
You could talk
again,
to Rotellus and see if they can get us any grants.
My argument is...
But so far, they haven't gotten us anything.
All things being equal, okay, I feel we'd be better off adding an officer with no grant versus another person behind a desk, okay, where we could have this patrol officer help out the other patrol officers that are being forced to work overtime. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
No. Okay, I'm going to move on to resolution number 7. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has considered and reviewed the 2023 budget estimates and assessment roll for special districts spreading the cost on benefits basis, and whereas public hearing on said 2023 special districts budget estimates and assessment roll was held by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster on October 17, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the 2023 budget estimates and assessment roll for special districts spreading cost on a benefits basis as filed with the town clerk on September 15, 2022, being hereby adopted as the final 2023 budget for special districts for the town of Lancaster for the fiscal year beginning on January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023, and that such budget as adopted and is summarized below be entered into detail in minutes of the proceedings of this town board. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Resolution number 8, whereas the Town Board of Town of Lancaster review the 2023 preliminary town budget, whereas a public hearing on said 2023 public preliminary town budget was held by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster on October 17, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved as followed, that the 2023 preliminary budget as modified as shown in Schedule A, which is everything that's listed, is hereby adopted in 2023 final budget in the Town of Lancaster for the fiscal year beginning on January 1st, 2023, and ending on December 31st, 2023, and that such budget as adopted be entered in detail in the minutes of the proceedings of this town board. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
Just for clarification, this does include all the changes that we just voted on.
On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Did he?
It does
It
include
does.
the changes, yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
No. Councilmember Burkhart, you have number 9.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I'm offering Resolution Number 9 for adoption. Whereas by mail dated October 17, 2022, William J. Karn, Jr., Town of Lancaster's Chief of Police, has requested that the Town Board accept a monetary donation of $100 from a source that wishes to remain anonymous in gratitude for the Police Department's service to the community, and whereas, after due consideration, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster finds it appropriate to accept this benevolent donation as offered. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby accepts the monetary donation from an anonymous source of $100 in support of the Lancaster Police Department, and that said donation shall be deposited into the town's 2022 Public Safety Police General Fund.
May I have a second?
Second?
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 10. Now therefore be it resolved that Brian Cross is hereby appointed to the position of police officer in the Town of Lancaster Police Department effective November 22nd, 2022, contingent upon approval by the Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the Town of Lancaster and the Cayuga Club Police Benefice Association and all applicable provisions of the law. And be it further resolved, the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second?
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes, and is Brian here? Brian, can you stand up? How are you? I'm good, how are you, sir? Great, thank you for joining our force. You're with one of the finest forces. I see some of the representatives here to support you. They do great work under leadership of Chief Karn. We have 2 great captains out there. Look forward to you on the streets. Thank you again for joining our force.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So Councilmember Mazer, you're going to go on to number 11. please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board has previously duly advertised for bids for one new unused 2022 Ford Escape SE four-wheel drive for the use by the Building Department, and whereas one bid was received, opened, and reviewed on October 27, 2022, and whereas by letter dated October 27, 2022, Code Enforcement Officer Matt Fashone has recommended awarding the bid of the 2022 Ford Escape SE four-wheel drive to DeLacy Ford, 3061 Transit Road, Elma, New York, being the sole responsible bidder in the amount of $31,605. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster, upon recommendation of Matt Fashone, the code enforcement officer, hereby awards the bid for one new 2022 Ford Escape SE four-wheel drive to DeLacy Ford, 3061 Transit Road, Elma, New York, for the use of the building department as it conforms to the specifications on file in the office of the town clerk for the total amount not to exceed $31,605, and which will be paid for with funds available in the 2022 safety inspection budget line item, passenger vehicles.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 12.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I'm offering Resolution 12 for adoption, whereas Delta Sonic Car Wash Systems has offered to donate to the Town Police Department fiberglass grating to be used to cover the drains in the Police Sally Port Garage located at 525 Pavement Road, and whereas by email dated October 31st, 2022, William J. Carn Jr., Town of Lancaster's Chief of Police, has requested the town board accept the donation valued at no more than approximately $300 to be installed by the town's buildings and grounds maintenance staff, and whereas, after due review and consideration, the town board of the town of Lancaster finds that it is appropriate to accept this benevolent donation as offered. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby accepts the offer of Delta Sonic Car Wash Systems to donate fiberglass grating to be used to cover the drains in the Police Sally Port Garage located at 525 Pavement Road, and which will be installed by the town's buildings and grounds maintenance staff.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, number 13.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas Jeffrey Kirsitz, owner of real property located at 16 Birchwood Common, Lancaster, New York, has submitted an application for a special use permit for home occupation in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 400 zoning, Article 4, Residential Districts, Section 400-16F, supplementary regulations for ARR and MFMU districts, home occupations of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and whereas Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, administration and enforcement, Section 400-78, special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires an issuance of a special use permit and a public hearing for the proposed use. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, administration and enforcement, Section 400-78, special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, public hearing on the proposed home occupation, special use permit application of Jeff Kirsitz, owner of real property located at 16 Birchwood Common, will be held at Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, on the 21st day of November, 2022, at 7:05 p.m. local time, and said notice of the time and place of such hearing shall be published in the newspaper of general circulation in said town and posted on the town bulletin board, and that a copy of such notice of hearing be referred to the Erie County Department of Planning pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made part hereof.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 14.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I'm offering Resolution Number 14 for adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster previously advertised for bids to replace the police building, public safety building flooring located at 525 Pavement Road in the Town of Lancaster, and whereas 2 bids were received, opened and reviewed on October 13th, 2022, and whereas by letter dated October 27th, 2022, consulting town engineer Ed Schiller has requested that the Town Board reject the lowest bidder for noncompliance to the bid submittal requirements and recommended awarding the contract to Allied Flooring Contractors, being the lowest responsible bidder in the amount of $70,000. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby awards the bids to replace the police building flooring located at 525 Pavement Road in the Town of Lancaster to Allied Flooring Contractors, 2323 Elmwood Avenue, Kenmore, New York, in the amount of $70,000, being the lowest responsible bidder, in conformance with the specifications on file at the offices of William Shutt Associates, the town's consulting engineer, and will be paid out for with funds available in the capital project number 222. Be it further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute this contract on behalf of the town of Lancaster and to do all things necessary to effect the intent of this resolution pending the receipt and approval of all required documents and insurance certifications by the town attorney's office.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes, I'd like to move resolution number 15. Be it resolved that the following individuals are hereby appointed in the following part-time permanent positions in the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department of the town of Lancaster, working not more than 19 hours per week, and that these be in part, should that be 19 3/4? Michelle?
What?
Should that be 19 3/4?
They won't be working even 19.
Okay, we'll leave it at 19 then. Okay. So 19 hours per week, and that these being part-time positions provide no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for part-time employees. There's 6 individuals that are in these positions, different rec attendants positions. Be it further resolved, Supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 16. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby recognizes the appointment of James Walsh II of Lancaster, New York, to the position of Labor, Highways in the Town of Lancaster Highway Department effective November 1st, 2022, contingent upon approval by Erie County Department of Personnel, and that such appointment shall be subject to all applicable provisions of the collective negotiations agreement between the Town of Lancaster and the CSEA Blue Collar Union and all applicable provisions of the law. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes, and there's Jim in the audience.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
Again, you're under fine leadership with John. I'm sure, were you out there doing leaves?
Oh, yeah. That's all we do is leaves. They know that?
It's leave week.
Yeah.
So-
So, no, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well,
Councilmember Mazer, number 17.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the municipal home rule law of the state of New York, Chapter 23 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster provide for the adoption and enactment of local laws, and whereas after review and consideration, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster is proposing to amend Chapter 400 zoning, Article 8, regulation applying to all districts, Section 38 subdivision, by amending subsection 400-38H4D5F8, and by adding subsections 400-38H9 model home permits and H10 building permits to the Town of Lancaster's Town Code. And whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the proposed local law at their meeting on October 9th, 2022, and recommended that it be adopted, and whereas pursuant to the Town of Lancaster Code and the Municipal Home Rule Code, public hearing is required prior to adopting a local law. Now therefore be resolved by the Town Board of Town of Lancaster that, one, a public hearing for the proposed local law of year 2022, which will amend planning board approval requirements, set a time frame for approval extension requests, and add requirements for model home permits and building permits by amending Chapter 400 zoning, Article 8 regulation applying to all districts, Section 38 subdivision by amending subsection 400-38H4D5F8 and adding subsections 400-38H9 and H10 will be held at 7:05 p.m. on the 21st day of November 2022 at the Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, and that a notice of time and place be published in the official newspaper of the town. And two, the town clerk is hereby directed and authorized to publish public notice of said hearing in the official newspaper and given in accordance with municipal home rule law, the open meetings law, and the sections 264, 265 of the town law of the state of New York, and which notice shall be form attached hereto and made a part hereof. And 3, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the municipal home rule law of the state of New York, Chapter 23 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, provide the adoption and enactment of local laws. And whereas upon review and consideration, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster is proposing to amend Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 75, Site Plan Review, by adding subsection 400-75D 9D and amending subsection 475E1 within the Town of Lancaster's Town Code. And whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the proposed local law at their meeting October 19, 2022, and recommended that it be adopted. And whereas pursuant to the Town of Lancaster Code and the Municipal Home Rule Law, a public hearing is required prior to adopting a local law. Now therefore it be resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster that, number 1, a public hearing for the proposed local law of the year 2022, which will require recommendations, be provided by the Town of Lancaster's Planning Board prior to approval of granting a site plan extension by amending Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Sections 400-75D9. Site plan review of the Code of the Town of Lancaster will be held at 7:05 p.m. on the 21st day of November 2022 at the Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, and that notice of the time and place be published in the official newspaper of the town. And 2, the town clerk is hereby directed and authorized to publish public notice of said hearing in the official newspaper and given in accordance with the municipal home rule law, the open meetings law, and sections 264 and 265 of the town law of the state of New York, and which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made part hereof. And number 3, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 19. This resolved, Town Board of Town of Lancaster does hereby approve the agreement between the town and Lancaster Volunteer Ambulance Corp. as presented for a 3-year period commencing January 1st, 2022, expiring December 31st, 2024, with no compensation being paid by the town. And be it further resolved, the supervisor be and is hereby authorized to execute this agreement pending receipt of the required insurances listed on Schedule B being received and approved by the town attorney's office. Is directed to memorialize this resolution in writing to LVAC, advising them of the intent to continue the agreement under its previous conditions, but to amend the renewal period from 2 years to 3 years, commencing on the first day of January 2022 and continuing through the 31st day of December 2024, unless terminated sooner for the terms of the original agreement. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. And just, I'd like to commend our attorney, Tom Fowler, who did a lot of work with the LVAC guys to get this thing done. So, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhardt, you have 20 through 24.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and Honorable Town Board. I'm offering resolutions 20 through 24 for adoption. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster, A, hereby approves as presented the 2022 Tactical Diversion Squad Task Force Agreement, the case-specific Tactical Diversion Squad Task Force Agreement, and the certification of responsibilities and requirements forms between the Town of Lancaster and the United States Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration, commencing October 1st, 2022, and terminating September 30th, 2026, and B, hereby authorizes the Town of Lancaster's Chief of Police, William J. Karn, Jr., to execute said agreements and certifications on behalf of the town's police department, and C, a fully executed original of said agreements and certifications will be provided to the town's attorney's office.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 21, whereas the Town of Lancaster's Police Department has been awarded a $40,000 grant by the Division of Criminal Justice Services, which includes federal support from the FFY 2018 Byron Memorial Justice Assistance Grant to be used for the leasing of a safety camera, and whereas Lieutenant William Gummo has requested the purchase of one new Flock Safety Falcon Flex ALPR camera for use by the Lancaster Police Department, and whereas by letter dated October 9th, 2022, Lieutenant Gummo has requested that the town lease the camera from Flock Safety, a sole source provider, for a yearly cost of $3,000 per their service agreement order form executed September 27, 2022, which eliminates the need for competitive bidding pursuant to subsection 103 of General Municipal Law. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby approves the lease services agreement for one new Flock Safety Falcon Flex ALR camera from Flock Safety Group in Atlanta, Georgia, a sole source provider as proposed by Lieutenant William Gummo for an amount not to exceed $3,000 per year for a term of 3 years per services agreement order form executed September 27, 2022, and which will be paid for with funds from the Division of Criminal Justice Services grant award, which includes federal support from the FFY 2018 Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant. And be it further resolved that the Town of Lancaster Town Board hereby authorizes the Lancaster Chief of Police, William J. Karn Jr., to execute the services agreement order form retroactively to September 27, 2022, and further directs the Chief to provide the term commencing date as referenced in item 6.1B of the lease to the Town Attorney's Office.
We have a second
Second?
on the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 22, whereas the Town of Lancaster's Police Department has been awarded a $40,000 grant by the Division of Criminal Justice Services, which includes federal support from the FFY 2018 Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant to be allocated for the purchases of a new radar trailer, and whereas by letter dated October 9th, 2022, Town of Lancaster Lieutenant William Gummo has requested to purchase one new Custom Signals Smart VMS Model 2 radar speed enforcement trailer for use by the town's police department. And whereas the radar speed enforcement trailer is available from the New York State contract number PC 68531, Group 38207, award number PGB 23163, through state contractor Custom Signals at a cost of $20,597.25 per their quote dated August 26, 2022, which eliminates the need for competitive bidding pursuant to subsection 103 of General Municipal Law. And whereas the Town Board has given consideration to Lieutenant Gummo's request and deems it appropriate to purchase one new Custom Signal Smart VMS Model 2 radar speed enforcement trailer. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby authorizes the purchase of one new Custom Signal Smart VMS Model 2 radar speed enforcement trailer under the New York State contract Group Award number PGB 23163 through state contractor Custom Signals Kansas for an amount not to exceed $20,597.25 per their quote dated August 26, 2022, and which will be paid for with funds from the Division of Criminal Justice Services grant award, which includes federal support from the FFY 2018 Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant.
May I have a second
Second.
on the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 23, whereas various outside law enforcement agencies contact the Town of Lancaster Police Chief to request permission to rent the Lancaster Police Department's gun range for mandatory training of its personnel, And whereas memorandum of understanding are required to be in place to outline expectations for both parties, protect both parties if those expectations aren't met, and pricing for materials and services being provided. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. Number one, all agreements presented to the town and/or the Lancaster Police Department must be provided to the town's attorney's office for review prior to execution. Number two, the town supervisor and police chief of police are hereby authorized to execute memorandum of understanding between the town of Lancaster and law enforcement agencies for use of the police department's gun range for training purposes for the fiscal year starting October 1st, 2022 through September 1st, 2023. Number three, when applicable, the chief of police's office shall obtain and provide proof of liability coverage from said agencies. Number four, any funds received for said rentals shall be deposited into the appropriate police budget account by the town's administration and finance director. And number five, a fully executed version of the aforementioned documents shall be provided to the town's attorney's office for distribution.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 24. Whereas Deputy Highway Superintendent of the Town of Lancaster has notified the town board that the ATS controller on the Kohler generator at the town senior center, located at 100 Oxford Avenue, needs to be replaced due to the motherboard burning out, and whereas the Buildings and Grounds Department has obtained a quote from Penn Power Systems, currently under contract with the town, for generator service and maintenance, for replacing the ATC controller for a cost of $4,446.73 per their quote dated October 21st, 2022, in accordance with the Town of Lancaster procurement policy. And whereas by letter dated November 1st, 2022, the Deputy Highway Superintendent has recommended that the Town of Lancaster accept Penn Power Systems proposal dated October 21st, 2022, which will be paid for with funds available in the town's 2022 buildings, equipment, other capital outlay budget line item 01-1620-0260. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby authorizes the supervisor to accept and execute the proposal dated October 21st, 2022 from Penn Power Systems, 350 Bailey Avenue, Buffalo, New York, to remove and replace the ATS controller on the KW Kohler generator located at the town senior center, 100 Oxford Avenue, for an amount not to exceed $4,446.73, which will be paid for with funds available in the town's 2022 buildings, equipment, other capital outlay budget.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 25. Be it resolved, Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby authorize the town supervisor to execute the 2023 youth agreement with the Erie County Department of Social Services and all documents necessary to secure funding from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for the operation of the Town of Lancaster's 2023 Youth Development Program for the period commencing January 1st, 2023, and continuing through September 30th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilman Mazer, 26 and 27.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution move forward to adoption. Whereas on October 17, 2022, Town Board of the Town of Lancaster held a public hearing pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, Article 9, Communication Towers, Section 400-48, procedure of the Code of Town of Lancaster upon the application of Sharon Bateman of Centerline Communications LLC with American Tower LLC for a special use permit on behalf of Verizon Wireless for telecommunications tower co-location to be placed on the current tower located at 00 Transit Road, SBL number 93.05-1-2.131, which will be identified Verizon site name, Bowmansville Verizon site number 693772 in the town of Lancaster, New York. And whereas persons for and against such special use permit have an opportunity to be heard, and whereas the town, acting as lead agency under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern and determined the action a Type 2 action under SEQR. Now therefore it be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, Article 9, communication towers 400-43, co-locating antennas, the town code of the town of Lancaster, the Lancaster Town Board does hereby approve special use permit for Sharon Bateman of Centerline Communications with American Tower LLC on behalf of Verizon Wireless for a telecommunications tower co-location to be placed on the current tower located at 00 Transit Road, SBL 93.05-1-2.131, which will be identified as Verizon site name Bowmansville, Verizon site number 693772, Lancaster, New York, subject to the applicable terms and conditions set forth in Article 9 Communication Towers and Section 400-78 Special Use Permits with the following condition. A copy of the FCC license must be on file with the town clerk pursuant to Section 400-46A9.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes.
Resolution number 27, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board is considering a rezone at 5827 Broadway, a 1.23 acre parcel from light commercial to multifamily residential mixed-use district to accommodate the proposed construction of an approximately 18,000 square foot building. First floor will consist of 2 ADA-approved apartments and 3 retail professional office spaces, and the second floor will consist of 6 apartment units as submitted by Lucas James. And whereas the Town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the potential adverse environmental impacts of rezoning the property and the proposed construction project pursuant to SEQR regulations at the meeting on October 5th, 2022, and recommended that a negative declaration be issued. And whereas the Town Board has duly considered the plans for the rezone and site plan using the long environmental assessment form, the criteria for determining significance set forth in SEQR regulations, and such other information deemed appropriate, including the recommendation of the Town of Lancaster Planning Board. And whereas the Town Board has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern, is fully familiar with the proposed location and the surrounding parcels, and has taken a hard look at these areas, has made a reasonable elaboration of the basis for its determination. And whereas the proposed action has been labeled Type 1 action under SEQR. Now therefore it be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster that number 1, based upon the Town Board's thorough and careful review of the proposed rezone and site plan submitted by Lucas James for 5827 Broadway, a 1.23 acre parcel from light commercial to multifamily residential mixed use, to accommodate the proposed construction of an approximately 18,000 square foot building. First floor will consist of 2 ADA-approved apartments and 3 retail professional office spaces, and the second floor will consist of 6 apartment units, will not result in any large or important impacts, and therefore is an action which will not have significant adverse impact on the environment, and therefore the board issues an attached negative declaration of the environmental significance for the reasons stated therein. 2, the town clerk shall file a copy of the negative declaration in the file for the project. 3, the town attorney's office shall prepare and file a notice of determination of non-significance with the petitioner, with all required New York State and Erie County agencies filing a copy of the letter of transmittal. And 4, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 28, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I offer Resolution 28 for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has held a public hearing upon the application of Joseph Saka for a special use permit home occupation vehicle repair on the premise located at 151 Schwartz Road, Lancaster, New York. And the board issued the special use permit on November 20th, 2020. Whereas per its terms and conditions, the special use permit is currently up for renewal, and whereas by letter dated on the 11th of October 2022, Joseph Saka has requested the town board renew the special use permit for an additional 2-year term. Whereas Code Enforcement Officer Matt Fishone has inspected the property and found it to be in conformance with the home occupation selected of the town code for the special use permit per his letter dated October 19, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Lancaster and the Town Board does hereby grant renewal of the special use permit to Joseph Zaka for home occupation vehicle repair on the premise located at 151 Schwartz Road, Lancaster, New York, upon the terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period of November 16, 2022, up to and including November 15, 2024. And number 2, that the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions as set forth for home occupation special use permit of the Code of the Town of Lancaster as long as the applicant continues to engage in home occupation on the premise, and to any additional conditions listed. And there are 4 original conditions on this permit.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazur, you have the last one.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move forward to adoption. Whereas Valdemar Blazak has submitted a site plan which consisted of a boundary and topographic survey prepared by True North Land Surveying LLC with a drawing dated April 11th, 2022. Also included were drawings prepared by Glenn Geotechnical Engineering, both dated March 25th, 2022, and drawing title cover and drawing title elevation and section, both dated April 10th, 2022, and received May 16th, 2022, for the proposed construction of a 1,026 square foot unconditioned warehouse addition on a floating concrete slab, which will be wood framed with engineered trusses on the existing 9.998 acre parcel at 4401 Walden Avenue in the town of Lancaster. And whereas the site plan for the project was submitted to the planning board and recommended for approval on June 1st, 2022 meeting, and whereas the town, acting as lead agency under seeker, has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern and can determine that the action be a type 2 action under seeker. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the site plan submitted by Valdemar Blazak, which consisted of a boundary topographic survey prepared by True North Land Surveying LLC with a drawing date of April 11, 2022. Included were drawings by Glenn Geotechnical Engineering, both dated March 25, 2022, and drawing title cover and drawing title elevation and section, both dated April 10, 2022, and received May 16, 2022, for the proposed construction of a 1,026 square foot unconditioned warehouse addition on a floating concrete slab, which will be wood framed with engineered trusses on existing 9.998 acre parcel at 4401 Walden Avenue in the town of Lancaster, with the following condition: contracted to provide an as-built survey to the building department prior to certificates of compliance or occupancy being issued.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Good. Okay, we're going to move on to communications. 692 is a resolution tonight. 693 through 697 received and filed. 698, Planning Committee. 699 and 700 received and filed. 701, resolution tonight. 702 received and filed. 703 and 4, Planning Committee. 705 and 706 received and filed. 707 for resolution. 708 received and filed. 709, resolution tonight. 710 received and filed. 711 for resolution. 712 through 714 received and filed. 715 and 16, resolution tonight. 717 through 722 received and filed. 723, Planning Committee. 724, resolution tonight. 725 for resolution. 726 through 728 received and filed. 729, resolution tonight. 730 for resolution. 731, resolution tonight. 732, received and filed. 733 for resolution. 734 through 736 received and filed. So we're at the part of the meeting where anybody could come and comment. Anything like the town board, you have a 5-minute time limit. Just raise your hand and we'll have you come up and give your name and address.
Hello, my name is Kelly Hartwig. I live at 21 Americo Court. My purpose for being at today's meeting is to follow up with the progress on the Lancaster Parks. A year ago, in October, was my first initial contact with the town requesting what the plan was to build more parks in Lancaster. Just to give you a timeline of how that has progressed in over a year. Initially mail sent in October. In November was an official proposal that I documented and submitted to the town with multiple resources stating why a park or multiple parks were needed in Lancaster for the benefit of not only the community, but specifically the kids. In December, I attended my first board meeting. I made a request publicly, and it was confirmed at that meeting that yes, absolutely, parks were needed. And that has been on the project to-do list for quite some time. After that, researching town documents, websites from the national government, receiving tons of feedback from the community, in addition to starting a Facebook group of over 400 parents who are in agreement that more town parks are needed in this community. We discovered the master plan that is on our town website, in which the town taxpayers paid to have done. It was documented that the town of Lancaster is 200 acres behind on recreational space. So I asked the board, in 20 years, why has nothing been created since our last town park? On May 4th, I received an email from Councilman Mazur and the Parks and Recs Department stating that we could have a meeting to discuss the capital plans and what the overall budget would be for parks. So we did meet the following week. In July, I was informed that the town approved an engineer to look for the sites. And since then, the sites that I have been told have been communicated or have been looked at were the area behind the William Street Fire Hall, behind Woodgate Streets. There was a proposal sent for Brunk to the Lancaster towns that happened at the end of August, which was denied by the town. And most recently, the Partridge Walk area, which I heard today was going to take roughly 6 months to get a comment back from whichever agency is looking at it. And I just want to state, I feel like this project is taking quite some time with not a ton of progress. So I want to know from you guys, what is a realistic time for us to get some parks in our neighborhoods? I mean, right now our kids south of William Street have nowhere to go. Over the summer, when the town provided some staff members, some teenagers at local parks for kids in the community to go to while parents are working, to keep them busy during the summer, the kids in our community were instructed to go to the parking lot behind the William Street Fire Hall, which apparently wasn't successful, so therefore it ended up stopping. No parents were taking their kids back there. There's no playground back there. There's no diamond for them to play on, not like other parts of Lancaster. Specific to the budget, I did submit a FOIL request to the town asking for the amount of money that was collected by new builds since the mid-90s, again, which is the last time a park was built in Lancaster, and that summed up to about $6.6 million. So I did ask, again, how that money has been spent towards Parks and Recs. And again, with a FOIL request, was not given any information. There's no documentation on how that money was spent. So I asked the town, where has that money gone? If you've collected over $6 million from new builds in Lancaster that was supposed to be used towards Parks and Recs, why are there no new parks being built? I'm hoping you guys don't take this as being personal. I look at this as being a job that your council members have been voted on to do, that taxpayers are looking for. And again, and in 20 years, not a park has been built while the number of people in this community have tripled. So I'm not sure if that's something that you can address here or what information you can provide for me. And I think there's some people here that were looking to get some answers on that as well. So, anyone have anything to say?
Any updates?
Well, the updates, Ed just gave us the update. We looked into Partridge Walk. We had to survey it. We surveyed it, and now we're doing the
Wetland delineation. The wetland delineation was done. It's been submitted to the Corps of Engineers. They have to sign off. It's a federal agency, and I will just tell you that their backlog is what it is. I mean, that's out of our control. But
So, in a year, we've looked at 4 locations, and I question, why are we looking at them one at a time? Like, do we have multiple areas that we can submit for feedback on versus waiting months to be told no and then find another location? I mean, do we really only have 4 open areas in the southern part of Lancaster that's available for any type of parks?
That we own.
Yeah, what we did is we started out by looking at all the land the town owned.
Right.
And the schools. And from that, I will tell you, the vast majority of those sites were not usable. They're too small, or they were all wetland, or floodplain, they just were not usable. And we narrowed it down to 2 viable parcels, one owned by the school district on Brunk, and then this one on Partridge. We reached out to the school, which was not successful, to do something with their parcel. We can't force their hand. So that left us with this one on Partridge, which is what we're pursuing right now.
So what was the feedback then for the areas behind Woodgate and Fire Hall? Are they just not buildable at all?
There was a pond on one of them.
There's a pond on one, there's some wetlands back there. By the time you get all said and done, there wasn't a lot of usable land. That's when, if you start carving out what you can't use, you end up with not much land to use.
Right, because I think I want to stress that, ideally, I think that the area needs a large park, but there's also opportunities, and I think we've talked about just small neighborhood parks. A park where there's just a playground and a basketball court for some of these kids to just get out to and,
That's what the Partridge Walk site is. It's about 6 to 7 acres. There's a little bit of wetland on it.
Okay.
So, that would, you could fit a few things on there.
So if that location comes back as not buildable, is it starting from scratch?
No, it is, I don't want to say it's not buildable. There's 2 small areas of wetland, and what we're asking for the Corps to determine is, it's called, whether it's jurisdictional, which means they control or they don't control it. It just means that those 2 areas we have to not use, or we can include them in the total acreage.
Okay.
So it doesn't preclude the rest of the site. But it's just part of the process we have to go through to get to where we need to get to. Before we start looking at a site and laying stuff out, you need to know, can we go here, or we have to stay away from here, because that'll affect what you lay out. And then outside of that, then it's non-town owned land, and that's obviously
We'd have to purchase the property.
So I guess I'm just asking, can we have backup plans ready to go versus continuing to push back 6 months and 6 months and 6 months?
Well, we didn't look at it like one at a time. We took all the available land and we went through it and we surveyed it. I mean, we looked at it, we looked for the water problems, came up with this one as something that's actually viable.
Okay.
At that time, now, as Mr. Mazur had mentioned, anything else is going to have to be bought. However, if anybody wants to donate land, if anybody wants to do that, all the developers who want to come into town and build their developments in this town, we'd be more than happy to sit down with them and see if they want to donate any green space to the town of Lancaster.
So I know that legislator Totaro said that there was an area around Brunk where somebody was willing to sell the land. Has that been looked into?
Yes.
And what was the...
They want a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be donated and...
And Partridge Walk is a great space for my family where we live off of Aurora, but it doesn't take into consideration all the families over off Boland. So again, we have 4 parks in the whole town of Lancaster, really 3 are in the village, Kisa, and I don't even know if Droulard's considered one of our parks, but we definitely have that need, and I'm looking for you guys to move forward with it. I am updating our 400-plus members on Facebook, and it's pretty discouraging to constantly have no feedback on any progress being made. I mean, I know when we first met, it was going to take a while, so it's been a year. I'm hoping it doesn't take another year. I mean, the goal would be to get something small for these kids by next summer.
It takes time.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. And as far as the spending of money, the $6 million, I mean, we just went through this past, was it August? We started listing projects for the current parks that we have, kind of a rough capital plan just for the parks. And there's quite a bit in those parks that you just mentioned, and the ones that are already existing that need to be upkept. Money.
And that's fine. My question is why was there nothing documented? Why can we not in the public see, well, out of that $6 million, $1 million of it went towards, fixing up the baseball diamonds at Westwood?
I'm not sure.
That should be public knowledge, I believe, right?
Well, it's in the resolutions, though.
Yeah, it's in all the resolutions we
Line
passed.
items and all that.
So I submitted a FOIL request and was told that documentation doesn't exist. I cannot see, and I went to the state as well, and they reached out, the comptroller, they reached out to the town, and again, we're not given information on where that money was spent.
I mean, anytime we fix something at the Walden Ponds Park, we have to have a resolution for it. So there is documentation. I mean, and Michelle, I mean, I don't know how many resolutions we get, in the past. From everything. I mean, from ball diamond to laying sod to.
So none of that
fixing the
$6 million was set aside for building new parks in the new builds in
Not
the
that
last 20 years?
I've only been here 2.5 years.
Right, okay. Okay, I'll continue to follow up and come to these meetings.
We're trying our best. We're moving at snail's
Anybody else
pace,
like
but
to
we're
speak?
moving.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Thomas Harmon, 10 Partridge Walk. Thank you for allowing me to have two items, all related to Partridge Walk. As Supervisor knows, and I'm sure the rest of you know, the Partridge Walk area has been developed with 90 new homes behind us, I guess, in the surrounding area. And I believe they are completing the final stage 3 of 90 homes, which is nice for us, helping our neighborhood. At the same time, that brings probably 3 times the traffic. And they seem to be using Partridge Walk quite a bit. We know there is, at least for stage 3, access to those 30 homes. But the first phase and second phase, we have seen more than double, maybe triple the amount of traffic. The concern is, number one, I don't believe there's any speed limit signs on Partridge Walk. And looking at it today, I see no speed limit signs. We've had numerous situations. My next door neighbor has replaced his mailbox, I think 2 or 3 times, due to someone coming around the corner, taking out the mailbox. In the wintertime, it's worse. Our concern is, even being a concerned resident, have gone out and tried to slow down the people. And of course, most times I've been flipped off and said, it's none of your business. The concern is, there anything that we can do with the help of the police department in patrolling the area? Or does anyone know what the speed limit is? And even seeing school buses, I think, exceeding a safe speed in the neighborhood. So my question is, can something be done? Is there an established speed limit in the neighborhood, and what can we do to keep the neighborhood safe?
So anything to do with traffic and stuff, we turn that over to our chief, basically, and he turns it over to one of his captains, I believe. So if you want to do a write-up to us, you can do it to me, and I'll forward it over to the police department.
And the second item, regarding the proposed park area on 10 Partridge Walk. We read about this, I guess, a few months ago in the Bee, about a survey or a proposal being submitted for review to a possible park to be put behind Partridge Walk. My understanding is there is, and there has been, a green space back behind our property since day one, I think, since that area has been developed. We also, and I hope the board recognizes, there is a gas line that runs through that green space. I guess the question is, we're looking for information. Last week, the survey team did come to the area. They did a survey, and of course, being a concerned neighbor, asked the surveyors, and they were very, very courteous, asked exactly what they were doing. All they could tell me was they're doing a survey for the town. I asked specifically, what is this for? They said they didn't know. They were just contracted. Okay, I kind of figured what they were doing. So I guess my question is, where are we in this review? And again, I am all for parks and recreation areas for our children. I'm not against it at all. I guess my question is, and I question that site being a wetland. As you know, we've had a situation with water along that Partridge Walk, and last year there was a swale put in and tried to stop this. Concern about the wetlands, concerned about the gas line, and I guess, where are we? Is this a done deal? Is it just under review? Do we know what this park would look like? Somebody said there was 6 or 7 acres, I think, available as green space. I don't know if that was that correct? It seems to me a very narrow strip of land, kind of starting from Aurora Street, maybe ending in the new development. And I'm just wondering what kind of park that would be. Are we looking at a walkway? Are we looking at whatever? Has it gone that far? Where are we?
It has not gone that far.
It has not.
No design or anything like that. We were just really looking for a piece of land that the town owned, that we
Okay.
potentially could put some kind of, controlled green space.
So we don't know if this would be a viable area for.
We don't know yet, but again, the wetland delineation is still taking place, and we just had it surveyed and wetland delineated.
And we understand that there is easements, that you have access from several of our houses, and wondering, well, would that be the access to the park, or how would they do that? How would people access? They just go from their backyard into this park? I mean, or is that too far down the road?
It's down the road.
Well, I will tell you, the property boundary of the parcel, there's access out to Aurora Street, and there's access to Partridge Walk at the south end of the parcel. The easements you're talking about are drainage easements. They would not be, they're not owned by the town, they're just easements.
They would not be walkways then?
No.
That seemed to be concerned by several of the neighbors, is now people going to park on Partridge Walk and walk?
No, they're just drainage easements, they're not owned by the town. The only parcels the town owns is a piece that runs out to Aurora, and a small piece that runs out to Partridge Walk, pretty much where Partridge Walk ended and Hidden Meadows started.
Okay.
Got to give you an idea of where that is.
Do I understand then this easement access road, or potential access road from Aurora Street is where fouls the pipeline? Are you familiar with the area?
You talking about the Buckeye?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's along there. It does not include the Buckeye, but it's in that same area, yes.
Well, this is why
Yeah.
a road was put in down Aurora Street where the construction vehicles would have access and not use Partridge Walk, which I must say also didn't work. The vehicles, and I don't know how the police could monitor that, but the construction vehicles did not abide by using that road and continue to do so.
Well, there's an incident with the chain with the guy too, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. But I guess, and there's other people, if they have any comments related, can we invite their comments too? In my time, or no?
They should have done it, yeah.
Let them speak. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Leonard. I live at 36 Partridge Walk. I've lived there for 25 years. I am highly opposed to any development behind my house. It's a beautiful green space. I know Mr. Rufino, you came out there and saw the green space when we had that ditch issue. Mr. Schiller, you were also out there. I have pictures just so you can get, I'm going to pass around, just so you can get a sense of the space we're talking about. The first one is the ditch that we fought last year. It was a 10-foot wide by 6-foot ditch. You can see how ugly it is. You can see some of the trees that they destroyed right behind my property. Mr. Rufino was responsive enough to come out and speak with me and probably 5 or 6 of my neighbors. We stopped the ditch at a certain point, and then they filled it in, which is fine. If they put in drainage to improve it and cover it, nobody cares. Nobody wants a swale, an open swale behind their home. But here's some pictures of it. I also have some pictures of the green space, what it looks like, so you can see. As far as a park, I agree. I have 2 daughters that grow up in Lancaster, graduate from Lancaster. From my driveway to Como Park is 3 minutes. And I get the need. It would be nice to have neighborhood parks. It would be nice if when we develop these lands, why don't we have the developer set aside 4 plots or whatever? We've got 90 homes. And we have so much traffic going by Partridge Walk. Everyone, I'm sure many of you know that, Mr. Rufino, I know you do. I have my mailbox knocked out twice. Other people have. We've had the police called. It's a nightmare what's going on. And instead of bringing, what we have left is the green space behind our homes. Nobody wants, today, I talked to the Lancaster workers. They said they were going to put a walking path behind all our homes. Nobody wants a bunch of strangers walking behind their homes. Nobody does. I know some people that live in Lancaster, they've had a lot of bad things happen on the walking path that goes way too close to their homes. Like I said, the green space, when I moved there a long time ago, one of my neighbors, we got his cousin who had a tractor, we leveled it out, we planted grass seed, we watered it. I even have my lawn company take care of it. So it's beautiful. You can look at those pictures. We created our own green space for our children to play there. And like I said, my daughters were very involved in sports. And they did the tennis program, which is awesome, at Como Park for Lancaster. It's a 3-minute ride from my driveway to Como Park. If you want to put in neighborhood parks, that's fine. But we just want the trees left as they are. We've created our own green space. My street, everyone on our street knows each other. You know, we have graduation parties, 4th of July parties, and we don't understand. We have all the traffic in front of us, and the bigger thing is, the bigger concern is, we need to open up access to Aurora Street. So in front of us, we've got all this traffic going by, knocking off mailboxes. The one thing we have left is the green space behind us, and now that's in jeopardy. And it's like, why do you keep picking on Partridge Walk? Your number one concern should be access through Aurora Street. If you live on the very end of Hidden Meadow Crossing, if you go all the way down Partridge Walk, it's 3/4 of a mile to get on Aurora Street, where I'm looking from here to probably that room, to Aurora Street. So our concern is, now you're gonna have more people coming because there's gonna be a park there, potentially. I know it's not a done deal. This is why we're speaking now, because all of a sudden, if you don't speak up, people are digging a ditch behind your house. So I can tell you, I know every single person on Partridge Walk, on both sides. I know many people in the new neighborhood. No, we like it, how we have it. The people on Hidden Meadow, they have beautiful green space behind there. They have playgrounds for the kids. They have a swimming pool. It's nice. They have $600,000, $700,000 houses. They want access to Aurora Street. It's a problem. So now, I look in my backyard the other day, and I see pink flags for a survey. There's 7/10, I believe, of an acre of wetlands. It's directly behind my house. I was told the whole parcel was 6.1 acres, so minus 7/10, that's what you have for a park. It's landlocked on every side. Partridge Walk is like a curve. You have Partridge Walk this way. You have Aurora Street. You have Hidden Meadow. It's boxed in. There's already existing homes there, and we are extremely upset that we had a major battle. Mr. Ruffino knows this, and I thank him for coming out and doing the right thing. We got the media involved at one point, depending on what the outcome was going to be. We got some other political people, connections that we had that were going to get involved. So we are strongly opposed to any type of park or what today said walking path. Who wants people walking through their backyard? A lot of bad things happen on walking paths. We've had a couple incidents where kids were hiding across the street in a little wooded area, and they broke my neighbor's door, like teenage kids, because there's so many kids in the neighborhood. It's awesome. For trick-or-treating, I had 100 kids in my house. All the kids that night were nice and polite. We love it. It's a true neighborhood. But there's some kids that aren't so nice. And if we have a park behind Partridge Walk, guess what? You're going to have kids there. In any park, you know that. You're going to attract people that are going to do some not nice things. We all have families. Now some of my neighbors have grandkids. We don't want that behind our house. We don't understand why Lancaster wants to keep messing with that. Like, leave the trees alone. I planted 10 trees in the last 2 years, myself, my neighbor. As you know, all the ash trees are dying. We cut them down. We didn't ask the town to do it. And with our own money, I bought 10 pine trees to absorb the water. I brought topsoil back to there, filling some low spots. So we have done a great job. Is John here? John. Okay, hi, John. So, didn't recognize you with the hat on. John's been back there before in his previous position. He'll agree that it's very nice back there, right, John? Beautiful. We planted trees back there. We made it beautiful. We made our own green space. The people on Hidden Meadow, they have their own green space. We don't want a park. We don't want that ripped up again. We don't want more trees destroyed. We don't want strangers behind our house. My whole street in Hidden Meadow is opposed to it. And I appreciate the previous speaker that she wants parks for her young kids, but why don't we take these developers and set aside green space for every single development? Or why doesn't Lancaster buy some property? I'll bet you I would contribute to that. I think a lot of Lancaster residents would be like, hey, let's do that. Lancaster was awesome for my kids. They went through the school system. Now they've got great jobs, they've moved out. So I just think that, number one, we need to grant access to Aurora Street. It's a major problem. Number two, we don't want anything else back there. We like it. We like trees. We like green space. We don't want strangers. We don't want more people. We don't want more traffic. We just want it left alone. We maintain it. We self-police it. I'll walk back there once in a while. I'll see a few beer bottles or whatever. I'll pick them up. I'm throwing away. We all self-police that area, and we've made it. You can say, I don't know if you've all got a chance to look at the pictures. We've made it nice back there.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yes.
But
okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I have to time it, and I gave you more time.
Okay, I appreciate
it. If you could wrap it up, please.
Okay, thanks
I don't mean to be...
Thank you.
But thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Thanks.
Yeah.
My name is Paula Adamy, and I reside at 23 Denton in Central Square Villas off of Pleasant View. On October 30th, I went to visit my daughter who lives on Heritage right off of Pleasant View, and I brought my dog with me, and she has a fenced-in backyard, and she had a gentleman working on her pond in the backyard, so her dog and my dog got out. Panic-stricken, her dog is a German Shepherd, returned home. My dog is still nowhere to be found. So everybody went to the streets, up and down Pleasant View, through all of the neighborhoods, cannot find her. I was heading home, and I seen an officer in by the high school where they parked by the old bus garage, and I approached him and asked him if I was to call Jean, would somebody be able to help me try to find my dog? And he says, most definitely. So I called the number, I left a message and nobody answered. So he says, wait a minute. He says, I think somebody picked up a black lab today on Pleasant View. I says, perfect, that might be my dog. So he made a phone call to Jean, confirmed it was this black lab, blah, blah, blah. So he says, call back again. So I called back again. I got the answer machine, but it tells you to contact Lancaster Police if it's an emergency. And believe me, to me, that was an emergency. So instead of calling the police, I went to the station. And I had another friend with me who was helping me look, and I spoke to the dispatcher, and I was treated like I was a criminal. All I asked was, can somebody let me know, take a picture of this dog so I know it's my dog? Do I continue to go out and look? Because at this point, I'm frantic, and it's going to be getting dark in a few hours. I just wanted to know. She says, we cannot help you. Come back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Well, that wasn't what I wanted to hear. I says, do I continue to go out and look? Well, that's totally up to you. You do what you want to do. I've never been treated so rude by somebody in the police department. And believe me, I've lived in this town for 40 years. A lot of my kids' friends are police officers, but that girl was wrong the way she treated me. And according to the officer that I was talking to, I thought he had made a contact with Jean, and I'm good to go and get my dog. And I had reached out to you, and you gave me advice, and I went around to the different towns, and I found out that the town of Depew uses Jean. I found out that the town of Alden right now, because the gentleman's died, he uses Jean. How in the world can two people handle all these dogs? So many dogs were people that got dogs during COVID. All these dogs now, some of these people are back to work, they don't want these dogs. So she has got so many dogs over there. When I went to the pavement, I couldn't even find, first of all, where the new office was, because I know they had a new place. And I talked to Carmen, and he directed me where to go. But there was this whole kennel of outside dogs barking like crazy. I finally seen Jean. Yes, she did have my dog. But I never want to go through that again, and I don't want anybody else to have to go through that again. It would have been so easy if whoever the officer that took my dog in took a picture, left it with the dispatcher, and said, if this is your dog, fine, but you can't get her till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's all I needed to know.
So just to correct one thing, so it's the Village of Depew, and they're split between two townships.
Okay.
So town of Chickawaga has a dog control officer, town of Lancaster has one. That's part of the service we provide at the Village of Depew, is dog service from Transit Road East.
Okay.
Okay. And we cover, obviously, the whole village of Lancaster and the town of Lancaster. But it's part of our, service to the Village of Depew, because they do pay Lancaster town taxes east of Transit Road.
So do we get, does the town of Depew's board, do they pay anything to us to do that?
So it's again, the residents and the Village of Depew are paying taxes to the town of Lancaster. They have a separate, they have a village tax and a town tax.
Okay,
Their town tax east of Transit Road comes to us in Lancaster.
okay.
Their town tax west of Transit Road goes to Cheektowaga.
Okay, so with Alden now not having one, are they helping pay it towards us to help them? Because they do not have anybody in Alden right now. I went and talked to the person in town. He passed away and...
Yeah, I'm not aware of any of this.
Yeah, Jean's got that whole jurisdiction. She's got the dogs from East Home
Well,
Road.
if she's on Lancaster's payroll and she's helping out Alden, I think I got an issue with that.
Well, evidently, somebody's got to help. Who's going to do it?
The county?
That's why I'm here today, to find out what's going on.
I mean, I don't think we have any shared service agreement with the town hall for dog control. So she should not be out there, is the answer to that.
Okay. Well, so we did, though, approve tonight. I heard you
Yes,
say that we are going to have a
that,
third
the
person, which I think we
second
need.
part-time.
My community is dog-friendly. There are so many dogs in my community. I don't want anybody to go through what I went through on October 30th.
And that's a good recommendation to make to Gene, to do something like that, so the police department has a picture of the dogs.
Most definitely, it would have been so much
Recommend
easier.
And to address something like that, a lot of other townships have part-time on-call. We don't do that anymore. We should.
Well, the girl that I was talking to that wasn't in the office that day, she said they get paid like $16 an hour. I said to myself, well, maybe I should look into doing something part-time. But what Gene has to do, there's no way I could be doing those things. You definitely have somebody that has to be trained in wanting to do that. And I mean, I could go to Tim Hortons and get that job for $16 an hour.
And with the changes that we're going to be making, we will have people part-time on the weekends, and we'll be covering more time.
Perfect.
More people out there.
And that was the
That's
other
a good
thing, I asked the dispatcher for Jean's card, because when I was the president in Central Square Villas, she was my go-to person. She was wonderful. She is still wonderful. But I didn't have it with me, and that dispatcher refused to give me anything about her. And I'm thinking, I'm not asking for her personal cell phone number, but on her business card, there is a cell phone number along with the regular number. The dispatcher, like I said, I felt like I was a criminal in the police station that morning, because it was just a horrible experience. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chester Popielkowski. I live at 44 Robert Drive, and I'm the president of Lancaster Volunteer Ambulance Corps. On behalf of the members of the Lancaster Volunteer Ambulance Corps, I want to thank the board for voting to renew our agreement with the town and for reaffirming its commitment to LVAC. I also want to thank the residents of the town of Lancaster for their strong support of LVAC. LVAC will continue its commitment to the communities that it services. In demonstration of that commitment, we have purchased 4 new ambulances, investing close to $1 million for vehicles, the equipment for those vehicles, and the crews to man those vehicles. This will allow LVAC to expand our fleet by 2 vehicles and replace 2 vehicles that are old. LVAC will continue to work with the town government, volunteer fire departments, the police department, and the Office of Emergency Management to provide the best care to the citizens of Lancaster. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
Hi, my name is Candace Mutinani. I've been a resident of Topeka, Lancaster for 37 years, and I guess what I'm interested in is the enforcement of the speed limits on Warner Road. The speeding is epidemic. The speeding is epidemic on the side roads, and especially Warner. It is ridiculous on an everyday thing that the people are coming down from Pleasant View, sailing down Warner until they can stop at Columbia. They're distracted drivers. They are going in excess of 45 miles an hour. They go faster than Transit Road. And I don't understand why we're not enforcing it. So I guess my proposal would be either we install speed bumps or stop signs or put those digital readouts to demonstrate the speed, because there's no enforcement going on. And I know we have deaths on Warner Road. That was a different situation, however, but the fact is that I've been living there for 37 years. This is I've had 4 dogs. This is 3 dogs ago that I have been working, trying to get somebody to do something about the speed on Warner Road. And even back in Giza's day, when Giza was supervisor, I went to him and all that. It's just like, why do we not enforce the speed limit? Why do we let people sail down the road? I walk up to the corner of my street. I don't dare walk around the block because I have to go up on Warner, unless I want to be a hood ornament on a vehicle. It's excessive, and I don't understand why it's not being enforced. And I guess speed bumps would slow people down. You know, I mean, Ream Road apparently had that problem. Ream Road in Lancaster, right, where you circle through the back way and you end up to Tops, whatever. And they ended up putting 2 stop signs on there, and it's like you go 10 feet, there's a stop sign, you go another 10 feet, there's a stop sign. Well, they achieved the goal. People don't speed down their street. I guess that, how can we achieve the goal here on Warner Road? So, that's my, in Buffalo, just FYI, in Buffalo, because they have a speeding problem. So on their side streets, you can go down multiple side streets, Daisy Lane off of Delavan, you can go down the streets off of Bailey Avenue. They have speed bumps all around. You know why? Because people continuously sped and they never abide by the law, and then they have a shortage of police officers, so they put speed bumps in. Guess what? It worked. People can't speed unless they want to lose the bottom of the car. That's my thing. I'd like to have the speeding epidemic corrected. Thank you.
Miss, your address?
What was that?
Your address, please.
28 Center Drive. I'm off of Warner. Village of Depew, Town of Lancaster. I know about the tax structure very well. Been paying it for 37 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Kevin Leemaster, 720 Schwartz. Just a couple of little notes. I was getting, people were questioning me, so I started watching some of the videos of some of the meetings. And people, not just now, but during the pre-meetings and that, they're not hearing everybody. One of the meetings, you were there and Matt was there, you were sitting back here, and when questions were being asked at a planning board meeting, it's not being picked up. And of course, these are supposed to be meetings that are on record so people can understand them. They can't hear people. What I'm going to recommend is put another table there, a couple more microphones, then even like today, you were asking the highway superintendent, he could be sitting up here by a microphone so everybody can hear the questions and answers. Not only that, I noticed a lot of the different board members don't talk into the microphone, they kind of pushed it away or don't want to speak into it, and it makes it harder for people to hear. Some people, like my voice travels very well. You're a soft talker, Mr. Ruffino. You are harder for me to hear when I listen to the things. And this is something some people mentioned to me. So I just thought I'd bring that up, maybe think about a couple more microphones for the other people that would participate in different venues. On the thing real quick with the dog control, you brought a lot of numbers up, but I have a feeling that you're kind of leaving part of that picture out. The state sets a standard for everybody as far as what has to be there, how many hours in between the dogs have to be fed and watered or checked on, the number of people needed. You mentioned, let's say Cheektowaga has 1 full-time and 1 part-time. You forgot to mention that the police department picks up the balance of that. We've already got police officers working too much, as you said, in overtime. They're not properly trained in our community. In Cheektowaga, they're trained, but their police department and their highway department have people that pick it up, and those budgets also offset it.
Yeah.
So it's a budget item.
Highway and Tonawanda is the police. I don't believe Cheektowaga.
None of these places have they've all got you got to have the same amount of people covering the same amount of hours. So just because they say they're only paying 1 person, there's other people doing the work.
On call. There's people on call.
They still, on a Saturday night, Ron, they still have to go in every 4 hours to water the animals. It's a state regulation. You can't get around it. Good enough.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go into the executive session. 2 things. The first one, proposed pending or current litigation under number 1, and number 2, regarding buildings and grounds. We have a motion to go in executive session.
Motion to go in executive session.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur? Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.